Okay, welcome everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today on another episode of Yoga Chat, where I am your host, Jessie and CeeCee, and my wonderful co-host,
CeeCee Detroit. Hello, everyone.
And we are here today, or in all of our series on Yoga Chats right now at this current moment, to highlight the local light workers in the communities and how they are maneuvering through their challenges, right? What's happening in the yoga studio, what's happening in the yoga industry. So we are joined today by one of my very good friends, Chrystal Taylor, who owns a hot yoga studio in Jonesboro, Arkansas. And, you know, we have come together in so many different trainings in so many different aspects. And thank you so much for joining us today, Chrystal.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for asking me to be on.
No, I mean, I love it. I love how we're kind of like bamboozling everybody to come on. Yeah. Like yesterday, Kate was in the park. Today, you're in the car, which just, I think adds to like the authenticity of what we're going through and Absolutely. What's happening. And you're a mom, right? You're a mom of yes. How many?
Tell us. I have two boys. My youngest turned 5 yesterday, and my oldest is 7.
Oh, so okay. So you're getting the whole mom, homeschool, keeping a business open.
Yes.
You're like, yes. You're probably not slowing down from this. I know Chrissy and I have not slowed
down. Not at all.
No.
We have not been bored one single time. We're trying to squeeze it all in, and I don't know, it's not boring.
Yeah. Yes, so we honor that.
Totally.
Yes. And that's another big thing, right? Women entrepreneurs, and no matter how big the business is, I feel like yoga studios are too big to be small. Yeah, too small to be big and too big to be small. We kind of are like in this weird little category in ourselves. But tell us a little bit about your background, Chrystal. Let the listeners give them an idea of how you came into yoga and your business. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes. Well, about 12 years ago, I took my first hot yoga class ever. And when I left the class, I felt the best I've ever felt in my whole entire life. And I've always been a person to exercise, love every kind of exercising. But when I took hot yoga, it was just completely different. And I was in that phase of my life, I was grieving and struggling with moving past grief. And I'd done everything I knew to do, and I had no idea that hot yoga was going to eventually help me push through it. But it did. When I left my first class, I felt finally like a huge weight had been lifted off my chest, and I felt a little bit better. And I thought, I'm going to go back tomorrow and see if this continues, and it did. And after about a few months of going every single day and feeling like I was back to somewhat of a healthy, normal person and not feeling crazy, because when I was grieving, I just felt crazy all the time. I decided that, you know, I'd originally gone to college to be an optometrist, but that really wasn't happening for me. So I was going to figure out how to be a yoga instructor. And throughout the year, I went to training with Jimmy Barkin and loved it more, fell even more in love with yoga, and got to dive into the science or reasoning behind why it made me feel so much better, how it was more than just exercise. And shortly after that, the studio owner asked me if I was interested in purchasing her studio. And I said, of course. I have no idea how I'm going to do this, but yes, I will do it. I will take it. And I bought it, and not knowing a thing about business, because I was a science major, but I just thought, I'm going to figure this out. And that's kind of where I'm at today. Like, I don't know how to run a studio during a coronavirus, but I'm going to figure it out. And, you know, so that I feel like I've spent 10 years just figuring out how to be a business owner, and I don't know if it's ever going to stop. But so I fell in love with yoga because it honestly helped me grieve. And I didn't expect that from it. And so I've owned my studio for 10 years, and I think every year I do something and learn from it, and then just grow to be better from that point on.
Oh, and that's so amazing. I mean, I know Chrissy and I for sure are still in the same boat. It's like you get smart women, and we just figure it out.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's like when you first feel like, oh yay, this worked, and then you're like, what do you mean we have to close because of a virus? Now what? So, you know, we're all in the same boat. And honestly, I think as business owners, it's almost like being an eternal student. You always have to figure something out. You know, that's what keeps us progressive. So now we're like, great, what are we learning from this?
Yes.
And this is how this evolved, which is so cool.
Oh, absolutely. Jonesboro is a very small community compared to a lot of other cities. So we only have 2 yoga studios in our town. And one of the yoga studios is super new. Like, I think they've only been in business for 1 year. So when I first started the studio, I was teaching beginners. Every single person that came in the studio was a beginner, but that was perfect because I was a beginner too.
Yeah, I know that. I know when I opened the studio in New Jersey, it was like I taught 17 classes a week. You know, it's like the story everybody tells, right? There was like 3 people in class and you're like, arms up. No, I mean this way. Right. So I mean, and it's definitely, you know, a roller coaster ride. There's never ever a dull moment. Tell us what the yoga industry right now in Jonesboro. I love it because you are the yoga industry in Jonesboro. So tell us about what the yoga industry in Jonesboro is doing.
Yes. Well, I'm trying to stay as active with my students as possible. So, you know, when we took about 2 weeks to kind of figure out what we're going to do. And during that 2-week span, I just did Facebook Live classes for free for the community because I needed to keep moving myself. And so I was like, hey, I'll just record myself moving, doing a class, jump on if you want a free class. They're going to be there forever, you know, on our site. And but then after I realized that this was going to last longer, because when we first shut down, you know, the state of Arkansas was saying, do this with this 15-day shutdown. We're going to, you know, drop the curve or lessen the curve here. And so I thought, okay, well, 15 days, I'll just give some free classes away. It's not going to be horrible for anybody. And then when I realized it was going to be extended for sure another month, I was like, we have all these bills to pay, you know, like, my goal in yoga has always been to one day give it away for free because I love it and I think everyone should have it for free. But at the end of the day, you do have bills. Like I have to have a studio to return to and we have to have electricity. And, you know, so I decided I went back and forth between Zoom and doing a Facebook private group. And that's what we ended up choosing to do. Is we have a Facebook private group. In order to be a part of the group, you have to pay a $45 a month unlimited. So for the whole month of April, you have access to all the classes. Part of the reason why I chose to do that versus the Zoom classes, and I'm not quite sure how, I guess people could still sign up for a month unlimited with Zoom classes, but I wanted to get their money up front. Like I wanted to get it all right now and then hopefully still collect some as we go. But then I also threw out the option, hey, if you're in the same boat as me and you've been shut down and you don't have the finances you did have, let me know. You can join our class and for free. So I still felt like I was still helping while people who aren't affected financially could help me. And so we have 5 classes a week, which isn't much, but I feel like it's enough for right now. For, you know, I'm learning. For this month, this is what we're gonna do. And if this continues on into May, you know, I'm collecting data all month long to see if there's something I can do better or more efficiently. But so the first 3 days, I made all the money I needed to pay rent and all my bills for the studio. So I feel like it worked for this month, and it feels good. I have several. I don't know, probably I have more that's paid that hasn't paid, but I've thrown in 20, 25 people in our group for free. And so that, you know, makes my heart feel good. So that's the avenue we took right now is Facebook Live. But as I guess that the days have continued, I've been thinking I'm really leaving out Instagram, you know, people like, is there a way to merge the two? I'm not quite sure. I do have a social media person that handles all that. So I'm just going to be in contact with her to figure out, hey, if we have to go into May, you know, how can we do this on Instagram and Facebook? Or is there something bigger that I don't know, you know, about? And anyway, that's why I'm glad I'm on here with you guys to see what you're doing, because I'm not quite sure. I think you probably do your classes Zoom, but I just was, curious myself.
Yeah, I mean, we do our classes through Zoom, but we do everything for free. And that just worked for Chrissy and I because we didn't want to get tied down to a schedule. I mean, we're mom, right? I have 5 kids. She has 3 kids. So like, I was like homeschooling, and now we're trying to do, like, I didn't want to overcommit.
Yes.
And take too much on. And then we just were kind of like, we're just going to see where this lands. Like, and our overhead in New Jersey is like insanely high, that the amount of people that we would need, at a $45 base is like,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because I was worried about the same thing. My landlord's been fantastic about saying we will work together on this. He called me. I didn't even have to call him. He called me and was like, because I've been with them for over 10 years.
Right.
And he was like, bottom line, I want you to come back. He was like,
right.
So whatever we need to do, we can do. We'll work through this. And I was like, well, I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know how bad it's going to get. And, but we have an open line of communication. And I definitely think that's the most important part, just staying in communication with your landlord if, they're willing.
Yeah, and I mean, you're a hot yoga studio. How are you handling the students that don't want the heat or don't like not having the heat?
Well, we recommend for them to get heaters themselves and go into a bathroom, shut the door, crank the heat on, and do it. And with the Facebook Live, the downside of it is that I don't get to see them. Like with Zoom, you can see your students, and I don't get to see that, but I always encourage them to send me pictures, and I'll see pictures of them with their kids on them, or with them in a bathroom with heaters, and a lot of them have said how surprised they are by how much heat you can build without heaters, that they just really didn't think that they would sweat, but we're trying to do our classes pretty powerful. And we run through a ton of sun salutations just to get the heart rate up a little bit, just because that's style I love anyway. Like, I want to sweat, so
yeah,
we take extra time for those now.
Yeah. So when did you have to actually close? Because I know different states, it was happening at different times, and we here in New Jersey, we had to close March. I think our last day was March 18th or March 17th was the day that I taught the last class and we closed.
Same here. I taught March 17th, a night class, and the very next day the governor shut us down.
Yeah.
March 18th was our last day, or March 17th was our last day too. And everyone was surprised. We'd already, this road's bumpy, so sorry, I'm moving around a lot.
Yeah.
We already, I guess prior to that, started limiting our classes to just 10 people, and we just try to spread out. And I mean, we were going overtime on cleaning doorknobs and spraying everything, and we stopped passing out cold wash rags at the end of classes, and we were doing everything we possibly could do to still be in the same room together. But then when the governor shut us down, it was heartbreaking. I think I spent another 5 days grieving again, that I felt like I was losing my baby.
Yeah, I didn't teach the last class the night that we closed. Jess and I had made the decision earlier in the day. So I stayed and I took class that night, and I grieved all through class. It was the hardest decision. I mean, I don't know about your school, but at that time, we were limiting our class sizes too. And we have a lot of students that are doctors and nurses. And there were some students that I was seeing 5:45 in the morning, and then I was seeing them again at night before they went home to their families, because, that was their only outlet. So my heart was breaking because I knew that was helping them. So that was a hard thing for me.
Oh, absolutely.
I think,
Absolutely. It's been tough. It's definitely made me reevaluate even my home practice. Like, I feel like I've gotten a better home practice that I'll be able to continue on. Sometimes when you're teaching so often at your studio, you know, you do lose. I lose my home practice because I get home and I have kids, and it's just. But there's a real value in home practice, and I'm enjoying learning that again.
yeah, I mean, it's so like, it's so interesting how we're all in the same, exact boat, doing the same exact stuff, just a little bit different way. I mean, what are some of your tips for people who are now trying to develop a home practice that have never had one before?
Don't put too much pressure on yourself. You know, I feel like we do that anyway all the time, and I would just prefer people have fun with it, and just to know that just moving their body and stretching their body is just that's all you need. And so you don't have to be perfect in your form. Don't stand in front of a mirror even, and just listen to the words and do whatever your body feels. You know, sometimes, like, if you don't feel like going as deep in a lunge as you normally would if you're looking at yourself in a mirror, or maybe you go deeper because your body feels like you can. And I would definitely just recommend taking the pressure off yourself because no one else can see you.
Yeah, I think Chrissy and I think with our big thing through all of this, no matter how studios are handling it or not, and how practitioners are handling it or not, I don't think there's ever a right or wrong. It's kind of like being a mom, right? It was like we tell other moms, we're like, no right or wrong.
Yeah.
Whatever you do is right for you.
Yeah. You know, one kid's always different than the other kid anyway, so you think you got it right, and then you realize you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were not joking when they said kids did not come with directions.
Right.
Or
No.
the rules.
And you know, honestly, and neither does owning a business. Neither does operating a small. I can't remember for years, all of us, so three of us as business owners, you know, being like, I wish somebody would just tell me what to do. And I am more than happy to do that. But I don't know what to do.
Another thing I'm doing that it is taking some time, but it makes my heart feel great, because everyone at my studio, I feel like we're a family. I truly feel like they're just another branch of my family, and so I try to text message as many of them a day as I can. Just, hey, how are you doing? Checking in. Hey, did you get the class? Although I can pretty much see who's doing the classes and who aren't, but just, hey, do you have any questions about logging in? Are you know, just I try to reach out and ask them something, or hey, how are the kids? Or hey, how's, you know, and even on before we start our class, like I log in and jump on about 10 minutes. I'll ask them questions there, trying to get feedback. I'm just trying to keep the communication going with them so they don't forget about me, and, you know, they still know I care for them.
I think that's the biggest thing. Christy and I are like, we have got to keep people to get connected, and we have to keep people together, however that looks, you know, for different people and different circumstances. Have you applied for all of the aid that you can?
Whenever I drop off my kids here in a second, I'm going to run my studio, and because our downtown association just sent out this stuff saying that there's a women-owned business grant you can receive from Arkansas, so I'm going to apply for it. It's like they're past giving out $5,000 grants to just women businesses. So I'm going to apply for that. I have applied for other stuff and haven't really got anywhere. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing too, Christine. I wanted to spotlight. I think we talked about this yesterday. I know I personally feel like once I heard it was, you know, that the funds were going through like Bank of America and Chase and JP, I was like, they're never touching the small businesses like us. No. And that's it's not realistic. But I was showing me all the possible ways, right? And so it's all the possible ways. So maybe that's not the avenue that happens, but we never know who's watching this. We never know what's going to happen, you know, down the line. And all we can do is just say, continue to keep our communities together and show us all the possible ways that everybody can, you know, not just come out on the other side of this, but really show us all the possible ways that this can actually be a contribution in our lives, right? Show us all the possible ways that we can actually benefit from this. Wouldn't that be even better?
Yes, and I feel I try to keep a clear picture that I'm coming out of this even better than I went into it. Like, I really feel like at the other side of it, we're going to be better than we were. So it's a clear picture.
Yeah, it's a great time for just humanity in general to just grow, you know, together. It makes us very, very more likely to be open-minded about possibilities rather than thinking so linear when we have no end date, we don't know what's happening. So it's kind of like we either have to grow and roll with it, or we're going to be left behind. So it's almost like it's compelling us to be open-minded, which is really great.
Yes. And even if you know you have to keep moving forward, even though some days you feel like you're moving forward, kicking and screaming, but you're still moving forward.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's so true. And how are, like, I know Christina, I kind of asked, like, how are you doing with yourself with the shift? Because it's hard sometimes when we're the leaders of communities, and then all of a sudden it's like,
yeah. And that was some pressure I was putting on myself. I felt like people were waiting. Okay, what am I going to do? How is she going to handle this? You know, and I wanted to make sure I handled it perfectly for everyone, or I was trying my best. And that's and I knew of the free classes, of course, that's perfect for everybody, but myself. So yeah, I definitely put a bunch of pressure on myself there for a little bit. But then once I woke up and I was decided, okay, we're doing Facebook Live, and that's what we're doing for the month of April, right or wrong, that's what we're doing. And I'll learn from it. In May, I'll change it if I need to.
Absolutely.
I could breathe so much better.
Choose again. If the choice doesn't work out, we just choose again.
Absolutely.
Right? And then we just keep choosing.
Right.
But I'm keeping my eyes and ears open. I'm always, I tell, you know, people I look up to, if you have any ideas, any suggestions, anything you think, I'm absorbing it all, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. What are some of the things that you're telling people to do? What is your, like, okay, this is my advice for all of this right now, if you had to pick something?
Yeah, a routine. And that's just myself. I have to have a routine. So, you know, I recommend that people figure out some sort. Ooh, what did I lose you? Okay.
Yeah, for a second.
If I had some sort of routine, so like I know every morning I'm moving at this time. I know after that we're gonna do the kids' school. After that, we're going outside. We're going to play for this many hours. We're coming inside. We're going to read a book. You know, I'm just every day. I know what we're going, and my kids know what to expect. So I feel like it's working, you know, great for us as a family unit, even because we all work better on a routine in my family. So that's what I'm recommending to other people. Like, don't, you know, like just figure out what you want to do, need to do, write it out, do it. You know, because also there's all those projects and stuff that people all the time say they want to do around their house. And, you know, I'm like, do it, write it down. You're going to have it done or start it on this day and do it.
I write myself a schedule every single day. You know, if I'm teaching something on Zoom, I'll write it. Okay, I'm teaching at 10. Okay, we have a yoga chat at 12. At 1 o'clock or 1:30, I am moving my body for as long as I want. You know, I have to do it too. It's so easy to get caught up in, you know, dinner, laundry, painting a wall, figuring out a bathroom.
Real Housewives.
Seriously. And, you know, if I don't write it down, next thing you know, I'm like in the laundry room and it's 7 p.m. And I was like, what did and then you feel like you accomplished nothing. You were the master, you know, you were the master of nothing for that day.
And that feels bad. That feels bad.
Yes. So I write it down too. That's a great piece of advice for you to give.
It is. Well, you're in little kid mode.
Days was chaos.
Yeah. Especially with the kids, you know, at that age. It's like, if you give them a schedule, I know with my 5, I think we lasted 2 days without a schedule, right? Yeah. They came home Friday. And then I did Saturday. I woke up Sunday and I was like, so everybody's going on a schedule. and
Yes.
whiteboarded it right on the fridge, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. And I'll tell you, those little buggers, 10 o'clock, they're like, snack, it's not on there. Snack's not on the table.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's a great piece of advice, and I think it's so beneficial for a lot of people is just, you know, get on that schedule, move. Yeah, and so much good stuff. All right, well, Chrystal, thank you so much for being with us today. It's such a pleasure
It's so
to just
good to see you, and it was so nice to meet you.
It was so nice to meet you too. I'm so happy I have a name to put with a face now.
Yay!
Yeah, awesome. And again, that's just one of the bigger things. Like I said, Visions with CeeCee and I is just, you know, we just have to have a whole bunch of three-way chats and record it.
Yeah, like the best phone conversation ever.
Yeah, let's just have a whole bunch of three-way chats, because this is some really, I mean, fun stuff to us. Maybe to other yoga people resonate as they do, but it at least gives them an idea of what's happening in the yoga communities across the country, if not, you know, worldwide, and lets people know how the yoga industry, if from our point of view, is handling what we can handle, being moms and owners and, you know, trying to make the world work for us. So thank you to everybody. Chrystal Taylor, again, is from Jonesboro, Arkansas. She is at nirvana-studio.com. You can find her there. Her Instagram handle is DCC Taylor, Taylor. I'll put everything in the description below so you can link to her. You can find her. I know she's accessible. She is a wealth of yoga information, yoga resource, has a great viable business and community. So feel free, I know I'm putting you out there, just to reach out to her at any time, because I know she's that type of person, and I know I can speak for that. Please make sure that you subscribe to us below for upcoming yoga chats and or anything. And it might not be the only time you see Chrystal. You might see her
Yeah, absolutely.
for something else fantastic. So thank you, Chrystal.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We will see you next time.